What's going on there, everyone? Well, I'm taking a break from the particularly brain-rotting impeachment hearings of the day, which seems like it's going to be another 12-hour day. But yeah, I was going through and just reading the news as always, and I saw that I originally saw this on the news, like on TV. But let's get into this because it's kind of a funny tit for tat situation. Trump responds after two-faced Trudeau caught on hot mic. Well, two-faced shouldn't be in quotations because there are many faces to Justin Trudeau. You have his pandering to the black community because he loves to wear blackface, especially in his past. My goodness. And then you have the pandering Justin Trudeau who dresses in any other nation's like ceremonial garb. Why I don't know. His own people, the left generally would call that cultural appropriation and say that's an awful thing. But since he's a progressive, he gets a pass with the blackface, the cultural appropriation, all the nonsensical things he's done in his past involving, women and this, that, and the other. Come on, Justin Trudeau's about as uh uh he's like a Chinese bootleg knockoff. But let's get into the story here. At a NATO summit reception in Buckingham Palace on Tuesday, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was caught on a hot mic, appearing to mock President Trump while he chatted with British Prime Minister Boris Johnson and French failed President Emmanuel Macron. Asked about the viral clip the next day, Trump offered a mixed assessment of the two-faced Trudeau before offering an explanation for why Trudeau probably isn't happy with him. While none of the world leaders say Trump's name in the 25-second hot mic video, the context strongly suggests President Trump and his performance earlier that day at a press conference was the subject of their discussion. Don't be scared, guys. If you want to talk bad about President Trump, by all means do so. By all means. And that's coming from, I don't know if you can see it, a Trump supporter. Talk bad about him. I don't care. He hurts your feelings. Oh well. Get over it. Yeah, it's ridiculous. But yeah. Quote. Is that why you were late? Johnson, who appears amused, asked Macron. He was late because he takes a 40-minute press conference off the top, Trudeau interjected. Yeah, that's kind of how the president, all presidents or leaders, prime ministers, whatever, should do. When the press is asking questions, if you have a truly free press, you let them ask questions, and then you take their questions, regardless of how stupid they may be, or how many times that same question's been repeated. The exchange came after the left-leaning Washington Post describes as Trump having pronounced, prodded, and pushed America's allies into a state of unbalance, seizing the global stage to both bully and banter, all while keeping himself at the center of attention. No, he's there calling them out because of their lack of spending on their NATO contributions. That's what he's doing. Why should America have to spend so much money when the other countries aren't pulling their weight? Just saying. Just saying. Over the course of 3 one-on-one meetings with NATO, Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, Macron, and Trump turned what were expected to be a brief photo opportunity into his own personal daytime cable show. That's what he does. As the other leaders largely bore witness, the U.S. president, frequently affable, occasionally bored, held forth a collective 2 hours, fielding questions on topics ranging from the impeachment investigation he left at home to the British election campaign he flew into here. Yeah. Why would these people fault Trump for that? Wouldn't you fault the press for constantly asking this guy so many questions? I'm just putting that out there. You know, you get asked a question, if you have an opinion on it, you're going to answer the question generally. It's very rare that Trump will actually walk past reporters. Here lately, he has a couple times while leaving the White House, and the reporters and the media were stunned that he didn't take questions. First, they complain that he rambles on too much about questions, and then they complain when he doesn't take questions, and then they go back and complain when he takes the question. It's Trump derangement syndrome, people. It's real. It's sad. It's pathetic. Asked about the viral video on Wednesday, President Trump took a swipe at Trudeau before offering some praise, which I can't believe he offered any praise to that failure of a prime minister. And shame on you Canadians that got him reelected for prime minister after all of his contradictory things he's done. Come on. The Lavaland situation, the blackface situation. There's all kinds of situations that Trudeau should have got removed, but yeah, that's neither here nor there. Well, he's two-faced, said Trump, who's famous for coining memorable epithets for his political enemies. After smacking the Canadian PM, Trump did something a little unexpected. He praised him. Quote, and honestly with Trudeau, he's a nice guy, said Trump. I find him to be a very nice guy. Because he's what you call a yes man. Trudeau is a yes man. He's a very weak, spineless individual. Any man who claims to be a feminist is a very weak, spineless individual, or they got some kind of weird, scary alternative motive. But yes, there's something very off about Trudeau. Something very off about Trudeau. I don't care for him. I don't think he's a nice guy at all. I think he's possibly an evil person who panders and acts nice, puts on a smile, puts on a pretty face, and does a lot of shady things way in the back, you know, way in the back, hoping they never get exposed. But thanks to people, the one organization that I can think of out of Canada, which is the Rebel Media, they call him out, and they've been viciously attacked for it. They've had to go through lawsuits, this, that, and the other. They've had press credentials taken and then had to be reinstated because they were taken in like an I don't know what it is over there, but in an unconstitutional like manner. Come on. Trudeau's not a nice guy. His administrations aren't nice people. Quote, the truth is I called him out on the fact that he's not paying 2%. That's all. That's all they have to pay is 2%. That's nothing. And I guess he's not very happy about it, Trump said. He's not paying 2%, and he should be paying 2%. It's Canada. They have the money, and they should be paying 2%. I love the way he emphasizes everything so ridiculously. Gotta love it. So I called him out on that. And I'm sure he wasn't happy about it, but that's the way it is. And yes, exactly, that's the way it is. You might not have liked him calling you out on it. You might not have liked the way he called you out on it. But guess what? He called you out because you needed to be called out. Start paying your dues, man. That's all. Y'all are liberals. Liberals love this stuff. This is NATO is like a little form of globalistic power. Y'all should love NATO. Y'all should love being a part of it. Like I said, it's like a little piece of your globalistic power that you want for the whole world in every way, shape, and form. Pathetic. Excuse me. Trump then announced on Wednesday that a scheduled press conference was canceled and he was heading back to Washington. Trump's reflexive, two-faced Trudeau comment has been echoed by other Trudeau critics. And here's, speaking of the rebel, including Ezra Levant, awesome guy, founder of the Canadian outlet The Rebel, who tweeted in response to Trudeau's Trump mockery. Quote, just like the G7 meeting last year, Justin Trudeau was a meek and obedient to Donald Trump. Yes. When they were face to face. But the moment Trump left the room, Trudeau badmouthed him. He is doing the same in London, mocking Canada's greatest NATO ally. Indeed. But, to be fair, most of us Americans really don't give one shit about Canada. Excuse my language, but it's true. We don't really care. I don't have a problem with the Canadian people, for the most part. I don't much care for the Quebecians. They're a little snooty. I've met a few of them. I got a French background. My family's French, and I gotta say, I'm not a big fan of French people or French-speaking people. They seem to be really snooty. But that's also nor here nor there. Well, the Washington Post, and like I said, that's not to all Canadians. I actually have really good Canadian friends. While the Washington Post spends most of its coverage on the NATO summit, trashing Trump's performance, the paper also admits that his freewheeling style has ended up yielding results, as NATO Secretary General Stoltenberg highlighted. Yes, because he is brash. He may not be the most, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? People don't know. He's not the most presidential president we've ever had when it comes to his actions. But when it comes to him setting his mind on something and wanting to get it done, he will damn near stop at nothing to get it done, to make sure it's working for us. And he generally tries to make sure it's benefiting the other party, in a reciprocal manner. It's how a businessman works. And guess what? It's been working for our country very well. I expect to see a lot of other places adopt it, which we are seeing a lot of places adopt right-wing national populism, which is awesome. Good thing for the world. Stoltenberg, praising Trump's leadership on defense spending as helping to add more than $130 billion to military coffers from Canada and European allies since 2016, seemed to acknowledge the ways in which Trump's often capricious freewheeling style has simultaneously distressed allies while, at times, also yielding results. The Trump criticizing Post reported. Yes, that's what all of us pro-Trump people have been saying. You may not like the way he sounds, you may not like what he tweets and all this stuff, but he is a very effective president. He gets things done. The stuff that he campaigned on, the promises that he made, most of those, not all, but most are promises made, promises kept. That's a big deal. That's a really big deal. Not just to us conservatives. There's a lot of Trump supporters who are not conservatives. There are Democrats who are secretly Trump supporters, albeit because their party is completely falling apart and their leadership is crazy people. It reminds me of the Tea Party a lot. Remember how the Tea Party had that really big push, but then they put out a bunch of really crazy people, or at least crazy speaking people. I don't know. I mean, obviously the people aren't crazy. They got that far in politics, but they put up some people that were kind of wacky. So the rest of the conservative types didn't jive so well with some of these people. It's the same thing that's happening on the left with these progressives and everything now, except the left's doing something different. They're failing to rein in the crazies of the party, and they're letting the crazies run the party. Same with Canada. Same thing's happening in Canada. And Canada's way worse. They don't even have freedom of speech. Just last week, a comedian that was fighting a fine of $35,000 for making a joke was convicted of that. I mean, he is charged with that. He has to pay, according to the Canadian government, $35,000 for a joke. To me, that just says the Canadian government itself is a joke. But I digress. I don't like Justin Trudeau. I love when the president takes digs at him. I think everyone should, because Justin Trudeau is a fake, just pandering, social justice warrior piece of crap. He's a hypocrite, just like the rest of them. Just like the rest of the progressives. All hypocrites. But I'd love to hear your comments on this. Whether you're pro-Trudeau or against Trudeau, like myself. Doesn't matter. Anything you want to comment on, go ahead, put it in there. And like, share, and subscribe. I will catch y'all on the flip side.